Good day everyone, this is Patrick from EasyFX Code Training System, and this is part 2 of the video on MT4 features that are lesser known but still essential, and a follow-up video from last Sunday. This is going to be a combination of what my chart setup is like, and as well as a certain feature that I seldom see anyone use. In fact, I have not seen anyone use. So something that you could incorporate into your own chart setup as well. And this is almost all of my standard chart setting, except for a couple of proprietary indicators that we use in our trading firm. And I will start off with simple moving averages, and that will already lead into the feature that I'm going to highlight. So what I have here was the 3 moving averages that I set up last week, which is the 200 EMA, the 55 EMA, and the 10 simple moving average. All right. The short-term moving average, you can use whatever value or system that you like, but I would definitely recommend keeping the 55 and the 200 EMAs, especially for Forex. For stocks, most traders prefer the simple moving averages with 50, 100, and 200, and as well as 20 SMA. But for Forex, it's typically using EMAs and using Fibonacci numbers as well. So for the short-term moving average, you can use an 8 or even a 13 simple or EMA. That's fine, up to your preference. But the key thing to note is that when you change time frame, these moving averages remain the same, but actually there is significance when you do change time frame. So let's go to the 1 hour time frame, and we still have the 3 moving averages. For now, don't worry too much about the short-term moving average. We'll focus on the 55 and the 200. So on the 1 hour time frame, the 55 EMA is in purple here, and it's providing dynamic resistance as the price is moving down until it's broken back up and crossed over by price later on. So if you look at the 4 hour time frame, there is a correlation between this 55 EMA and what the 4 hour time frame moving average is going to be. So you're going to 4 times longer, so your moving average is going to be actually 4 times less, right? So that's because if you increase the duration of the moving average, you only need to collect less data with fewer candles to achieve the same average figure. So for the 55 EMA on a 1 hour time frame, on the 4 hour time frame, it's going to be 4 times less. So 55 divided by the 4 is going to be around 13 to 14 EMA. So if we switch to, and we can just take note, this is the towards the end of 11th November and the start of 12th November. So if we go to the 4 hour time frame, this is where the 1 hour candles were, and this is currently the 10 simple moving average. Let's just change this to the 14 EMA, and you'll see that it is equivalent to the 1 hour 55 EMA, and that's blocking, acting as dynamic resistance and blocking the price as it goes down until it turns back up. So if you want to use the same kind of feature or visualization on the price chart, you can, if you have a 1 hour 55, you can change this shorter time frame on the 4 hour to either 13 or 14. I would probably change this to 13 just to make it consistent to be a Fibonacci number, and that's going to provide even a tighter resistance level and a clearer visualization to show that price is having difficulty to break above this. Alright, so you can use this for the 4 hour. Now let's go back to the 1 hour. So now this has also changed now. This the shorter term moving average has now changed to the 13 EMA. So let's move to the 200 EMA on the 1 hour time frame. So on the 4 hour, it's going to be divided by 4, and it's going to be 50 EMA on the 4 hour time frame. Right? Note where it's price cross the 200 EMA here on the 1 hour. If we go to the 4 hour time frame, and that's where price has crossed, this happens to be 55, but if we can change this to 50, it will be exactly the same as what the 200 EMA was on the 1 hour. So at this level, it's we can check 110.41.6. Go back to 1 hour time frame. This level is at 110.41, or towards the end it's yeah, 41.4. Okay, so that's the correlation between time frames and moving averages that you can apply. I would just leave it as 55 because it's basically close enough. But the 13 EMA, that's useful. You can change that from the 10 SMA. You can see that after price broke out, it pulled back, found support at the 13 EMA, and then push up to target the 55 EMA. Alright. Now, the main feature that I want to highlight here is that you can use different moving averages at different time frames. So you can do that by using visualization, and that's if you right click to your properties of the moving average, you'll see the last tab as visualization, and you can actually select which time frames do you want this moving average to appear at. If you select all, then this with time frame, right, and all the way down to the 1 minute as well. So let's go back to the 1 hour chart, 1 hour time frame, and back to the 55 EMA. Now, what if we want to go down to a lower time frame, which is let's say the 30 minutes? So the 55 EMA now is providing resistance, dynamic resistance, and we go down to the 30 minute, which is half the time. So the period now will need to be double so that we still get the same average data. So which means if we go to the 30-minute time frame, let's add a new moving average, and doubling the 55 will make it a 110 EMA. Let's make this one blue for now, or even purple, magenta, and that's where the 110 is. There's a resistance up here from, there you go, that's the 11th, second half of the day of 11th, and then followed by the Asian session on the 12th. So that is equivalent to the 1 hour 55 EMA. Alright, and we can, since it's only relevant on the 30-minute, we don't need this on every time frame, so we can go to visualization and just select 30 minutes, and it will only appear when we select 30 minutes there. And for the 55 EMA, maybe for this context, for this exercise, we can select visualization to occur except everywhere except the 30-minute time frame, right? So the 55 on the 1 hour, if that's a strong visualization dynamic support resistance moving average, and if it is effective, and we can keep it there as well on the 30 minutes. If you're trading 30 minutes, keep it there as well. And then what if we go down to the 15 minutes, and that's another half of the period, which means we can double this to 220, and let's see, it should be close to our 200 EMA anyway, right? So let's go to 15 minutes on the 11th and 12th, and there you go. That's the 200 EMA. If we just wanted to adjust this slightly to 220, and it's more accurate there. But I think for all visualization techniques and strategies, I think that 200 is good enough. But the idea here is to show you that you can have different sets of moving averages, or even different sets of indicators at various time frames. So where an hourly time frame, that could be, you could add some different type of indicators from different from 15-minute time frame, and something different on the daily time frame. So which I will show here as well on the Asian session box, which is these two parallel lines here, horizontal lines, which signify the start of the day on the Asian session, which is right about an hour after the close of the New York session. So depending on your broker's server time, all of them should start on at 00 hours. And for this particular broker, which is IC Markets, its server time is in Central Europe, so it's now +6 for Singapore. So it's 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. at the start of the day in Singapore, which is 5 p.m. New York time, Eastern Standard Time. So New York has US has also shifted back the clock, so it's 5 p.m. close. It's always a 5 p.m. close. And with daylight saving, the time will be shifted as well to +5. So, but this case is +6. And let's take a look at this indicator, which is the daily line boxes. Let's take a look at the settings here. I've changed the default settings, so I've changed it to 15 look back days. So it will display the boxes for the past 15 days, start at 00 and end at 8 hours after that, and the lines will be extended for 18 hours of the day. Box color is here, and the horizontal line colors, you can change these settings. And a couple of settings that have changed as well. Yes, we want to display Monday through Friday, and the visibility, you can it actually has the 4 hour as well, but I've taken it out and only set it to up to 1 hour. Alright, one other change I've made, I'll probably need to show you the default settings when I install this for the first time, but I've already changed these settings here. And the text properties are some of the hidden code that you see here, and the default is actually set at 1. I've reduced it to default set at 9, but I've reduced it to 1 because on the daily time frame you get to see some busy numbers around here in white. So I want to reduce that, and in fact you can make it the same color as a background so that you don't see it at all. So let's go back to the line boxes, and I've set it to white. I can set this to the same gray color background so that it will not appear at all. So it's just some of the nuances of this daily line boxes indicator. So on the 1 hour, if unfortunately you can't click on the indicator to edit it, you need to go to this right click and select the indicators list and edit it from there. Okay, let me take it out and let's start to show the where it is set at. You should be able to find it in your custom indicators, and daily line boxes is here, and these are the default settings. Alright, if your broker doesn't have it, it's okay. I'll provide a link for you to download this Asian session box, as it's called. So we started at 0 and until 8. So from 6 o'clock, 6 a.m. start until 2 p.m. that's going to be the lunch, until lunchtime of Tokyo, just after lunch, and after that it will be the start of Europe and London. So yeah, we don't need to extend further, otherwise we can't see the breakout of those sessions. And this was silver that I set earlier. Box color, line color is green, that's fine, just leave it there first. This one's 1, and let me take out the 4 hour. and that will do for now. Right, so when you go to 4 hours, it doesn't show there. You go below that, you'll see it in all the time frames. Unless you don't want it, you can also delete it out. So let's just switch to the other chart for a while. Just want to show you just examples using different indicators and with different visualization time frames. We still have the 10 SMA for now on this chart. Doesn't matter, we'll just leave it there for now. And let me give you an example of where we can, on the daily time frame, we can use the MACD, for example, or even the RSI. Let's use the RSI for now, and I have specific settings on different levels, but let me take them out for now. We use the default values on 30 and 70 levels, and I also have shorter periods for that. We just use the default 14, and we just want to use it on the daily time frame and longer term. Right, these oscillators are useful mainly for the longer term periods, longer term trading. So we can use this RSI 14. You can even shorten the period if you prefer to 10, so that it covers 2 trading weeks. The default is 14. So if we change to 4 hour, it's not going to show up. We can set a different indicator, let's say a can set a stochastic indicator at these are some of my settings. We can just use the default 1433 and visualization at only the 4 hour, and yeah, just leave it at 4 hour for now. We can just customize the colors, make it a bit bolder. And probably highlight the levels a bit darker, maybe slate gray, right, at 80 and 20. So then on the daily, we have the RSI. On the 4 hour, we have stochastics. Maybe on the 1 hour, we prefer to have CCI or something. Commodity Channel Index, and 14 period. Let's set it to maybe even the 30 minutes levels at the hundreds. Yep. Okay, let's make this change this color. Maybe darker, and change the levels to also darker shade. Okay, so there you are. You have 1 hour CCI, 4 hours we have stochastics, and RSI on the daily. You can add MACD if you prefer. On the 30 minutes, you've got CCIs, and the rest up to you to set up as depending on your preference and your strategy. All right. So one other indicator that I would like to share with you is the Ichimoku, and also one of the options on the properties that on the overlay that I highlighted earlier as well. Let's set the Ichimoku Kinko heel. I'm not going to explain the strategies involved with all these indicators, so there's a lot of other YouTube videos and literature on these, but for our team we do use the Ichimoku for longer term settings, so we will set it for 4 hours and above. Right, we'll leave the colors as it is at the default. The Kumo is up to you. We can set whatever color we prefer, and I prefer a solid body Kumo, which is the cloud. This is the Chico span in dark green. Just make it purple just to differentiate that. All right, so on the daily you'll find the Ichimoku as well, weekly and monthly, but if you go down to the 1 hour, no, it's not there. You can use other indicators. And one of the properties that I mentioned, if you go to the common tab, that's the chart on the foreground. If you untick that, you'll see that the bar charts or the candlesticks is actually behind this main indicator. Here it's not so bad because of the color, but if I want that the candlesticks to be shown in the foreground, so that's why I want to properties and click that chart on foreground so that the candlesticks appear on top of the background, which is now the Ichimoku indicator. Okay, all right, that's what the chart on the foreground option is. Okay, so let's switch back to the other chart and finish up with pivots. All right, and you'll see these dashed lines now. We are going to cover pivot levels or pivot points, and these are daily pivot levels. They are generated from the previous day's candles, open, high, low, close prices, and then plug into formula to derive the next day's pivot levels with formula to extend higher to R1, R2, and R3, and then extend lower from the daily pivot to the S1, S2, and S3, right? Centered around the daily pivot, right? And if you don't have that installed, I'll also add a download link for that, and you can find this as pivot points daily shifted, right? That's what it's called. And you can right click it here to edit the properties, and I've also set visualization so that it doesn't go past the 1 hour, otherwise you'll get too busy as you go into higher time frames. Yeah, you can set the colors for the central pivot line and the resistance and support levels of the pivots. Shift hours is 0, is set to 0, so that it will align right to the start of the day, and that's all you need. Okay, so when you go to 4 hours, it does not appear there. I can show you if I select all time frames, and then we'll see how busy the chart will look like. And on the daily chart, you can see it all a bit jumbled up, so that's not very useful. So let me edit it back so that we just need 1 hour and below. Okay. So the last part is these one more set of indicators, which is for higher time frames with weekly and monthly pivots. Same formula that's used for the daily pivots, except that it's done every week, and then for the monthly it's calculated every month. And it's useful when we look at high time frames on the 4-hour, daily, and even weekly. You can see the pivot levels here. So this is downloaded again. I can provide the download link for that. This it will be installed in your custom indicators, and this is under the auto pivots, right? And if I just you can go direct to, well, maybe not, go to the indicators list, go to edit, and inputs here I've set false for Sunday. We don't need Sunday data. We don't need the daily because we already have the daily pivots separately. And it's true for weekly and weekly support and resistance levels. Monthly pivot is there. You can add monthly support resistance levels as well, but for me I've just set it to not appear. Otherwise there'll be too busy with too many pivot lines. Okay. So the main feature here is the one in blue. Unfortunately, you can't change the colors for these auto pivot indicators. So the one in light blue is the weekly pivot. The one in black is the monthly pivot. Just happened that for this week it's very closely aligned. Then there's weekly R1 and weekly S1 levels. And high up you can find up to R3 and down to S3, right, for the weekly levels. If you have monthly pivots as well, then you can have monthly R1s, monthly S1s. Okay, so that's the basic setup and some visualization tips that may help to make your indicators more effective, and depending what your strategy is. So you don't need to have so many chart setups to change around time frames, so you can just use visualization to set up different indicators for different time frames. All right, so I hope that's useful, and I will provide links for these indicators to be downloaded, the auto pivots, auto pivot points, daily line boxes if your broker doesn't have it, and pivot points daily shifted. All right. Most of the brokers probably will not have the auto pivots with the weekly and monthly pivots. Some will have the pivot points and the daily line boxes. But anyway, so go ahead and feel free to download it and play around with the settings, and hope that it's effective and useful for you. So I hope that's informative and provide some further insight into some of the MT4 setups and features, which I don't see many people using, many other traders using. All right. Till the next video, and daily analysis. Have a good week ahead, and cheers.